I'd like to call the Planning and Development Committee to order. And I would ask if any member has a declaration of pecuniary interest, they declare it now or at the appropriate time. Seeing none, we'll move on into our agenda, and we just have one action item to deal with, and that is the Bruce County Economic Development Strategic Plan. I'll turn it over to Chris.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. The purpose of today's meeting is to present the overall strategy for economic development for the county. And it's been an exciting, I guess, 2 years or even more when we received the recommendations of the overall county strategy and also the recommendations of the operational review. And there was a strong feeling from council and also from business owners within the county that the county should be doing more, and that we had done a fairly good job in terms of tourism, marketing and promotion, and additionally product development. But why not take that to the next level? And it was with some sense of, I guess, trepidation and nervousness, requiring a large amount of courage from this council and from our staff to move this to the next level, because it's pretty large and pretty encompassing in terms of what we're trying to do. We held a meeting back a number of months ago with council to check in, to make sure that all the documents and the reports that we had provided so far were on right track, and to allow council to enunciate truly the directions for the strategy coming up over the next number of years. And so what we've done is taken the body of work expressed in a number of those documents that we used to build the structure, and the concerns and comments from council in terms of priorities from that meeting, and combined it into this document that sets the next steps for where we need to get to as a county. It's our hope that by providing meaningful economic development services at the regional level, we're going to be able to really increase the business case for new businesses to come to Bruce County to help grow the population within the county, and additionally to try to add new commercial assessment to the county, and so we become a complete economic community and a great place for people to come and start up a business. There's two reports. One is the summary report that sort of introduces the broader report that's attached to the package. I think I've pretty much covered off all of the elements of under the background in the conclusions section. And as you can see, we've listed some of the major strategic objectives that really started us down this path a couple years ago. I've asked Kara to provide a PowerPoint which summarizes the major strategic directions within the full report that is attached to the package. So at this point then I'll turn it over to Kara and ask her to provide the summary that's in the PowerPoint. And there's additionally paper copies of the document being passed around as well for your review.
Good morning. Thank you, Committee Chair and Committee, for having me here today. This is a day that I've been looking forward to for almost a couple of years now, so I'm very excited to be here. And Chris did a very good job of introducing where we've been and where we like to go. And I think that's sort of the important message that we want to share with you today, is that over a number of years, the county has been involved in economic development. And in 2013, we heard a message from County Council with regards to our strategic initiatives and where we wanted to see the organization move with regards to economic development. And what you see in front of you today is a culmination of those efforts. So I really thank County Council, as Chris said, for the energy and the passion to make sure that this moved forward, and the guidance for staff in helping us move it to this place. So if you'll humor me, I have a little bit of a presentation. I also have Vicki and Manpreet here with me today to talk specifically about their areas and what will be moving forward. I'm really hoping the technology works. Oh, I turned it off, Darlene. There we go. So before we get into the actual plan itself, I just wanted to talk a little bit about three big things, I like to call them. So some people have asked us where we've been for the last couple of years, and we've been working on these three big things. So the first is around the reorganization of the department itself. unifying the county voice. I won't spend long on these because I know you've heard these before, and developing the plan that's in front of you today. And oh, by the way, we moved our offices too. So reorganizing the department. So as an outcome of the operations plan, again, that council delivered in 2014, we reorganized the Planning and Economic Development Department into the Planning and Development Department and into the three divisions that you see in front of you there. Today we're specifically going to talk about the Economic Development Division. And through the guidance of County Council, we did highlight the strategic priorities around business development and sector development. We'll get into those in a little bit more detail as we talk about the plan. A lot of times I've heard, who is working on this and who are our team members? So I was going to put their pictures up, but they kind of refused to allow me to do that. But as I said, I do have Manpreet and Vicky in the audience with us today, who've both sort of joined us in the capacity of Economic Development Officer as of August of this year. And then we've been working to round out the teams for both of those areas. And we, as you can see there, we have one left to round out on the information assistant. And over the coming months, you'll get to know these folks as they start to move a number of these strategic initiatives forward. Unifying the county voice was another big thing that the county worked on over the last 18 months to 2 years. And we're all very proud of our Be an Explorer brand that has come forward. We had this slide, I don't know if you remember it, but if it fits, wear it. And we're kind of joking when we say the ball cap. But what I'm really proud of with the work that's gone on with the first cross-functional team that the county embraced is with regards to how easy and seamlessly this brand has been embraced by all staff. And so it's been exciting times as we move this forward. And those exciting times are starting to translate now into our sub-brands and our attractions, and that relates to our conversation, our attraction brands, and that relates to our conversation that we're going to have today. So again, the story of transformation, the story of evolution, so what was or where we were and where we can be as a county. You'll see that's the theme of our plan, and we've organized that document in front of you into three chapters. And because there's one, you know, it's important to remember where we came from, but what everyone really likes to see is where we're going. So you'll see those chapters as I talk. So find yourself in Bruce County. This idea, this little kernel of story of find yourself in Bruce County started about 18 months ago with the Rural Economic Development Grant that we had with regards to business development. And as Chris introduced, this idea of the efforts that need to go into business development had been one that we'd been talking about for several years. What we realized in the work that we did with the Bruce Brand Project is that it takes a certain person. It takes a person with a great explorer story. And if I asked all of you, you'd probably tell me what your explorer story is on how you landed in Bruce County. So what we translate this into when it comes to economic development is how do we attract the who? How do we attract those similar like-minded people that really want to have an exploration in Bruce County? What we do is we start to set the stage. And by setting the stage, we really need to focus on where we are right now. And that was the first part of this journey that we've been on, is where are we as a county? We learned some really interesting things through the Bruce Brand Project. We learned that Bruce County is really positively regarded, and this is hugely impactful with regards to a county, that people knew the name Bruce County, and they have a positive impression of us as a county. We also learned a few other things. So we learned we're well known, we're well liked. We learned that our tourism work and our tourists that visit us and our alumni that are familiar with Bruce County are really who's driving some of that awareness about us out there across Ontario. We learned that nature is our calling card. I don't think that probably comes as any surprise. But we learned of some of the challenges too, like remoteness and access. And as I said, we learned that Bruce County appeals to a certain type of mindset, that explorer. I shouldn't have probably said it isn't for everyone, but you know, you see it up there on the screen and you think, whoops, should have said exploring is for everyone, right? So once we have a good idea of where we are, it's really we need to be thoughtful to where we want to go. And this is the pieces that I said that Council's been very helpful in helping us identify and enunciate as to where we want to go. In order to put ourselves on the map as a place where people choose to live and a place where people choose to do business, we need an approach that's unique to Bruce County. And what I feel you have in front of you today is a very unique approach. It's holistic. It involves all of our partners, all of our collaborators, and it builds the capacity that we need to have in our communities and as a whole in the county in order to realize the change that we're talking about. We've sort of lovingly called this the macro approach right from the time that the operations plan was delivered. And again, this macro approach sees all of those levels or all of those groups of partners participating through the activities of economic development. The role of the county in that has been identified is to cast a wide net, position the region, and create that awareness. Also to help at that leadership piece with helping administer this overall strategy, so providing support and resources to those that need them. With our municipalities, we have talked about ensuring that the community is ready for business and selling their communities in order to manage that brand promise that they're making to business, and recruiting and support or building the tools and supporting those local leaders. And then our local leaders are really one part of the linchpin to this model, in that they're the ones that are our ambassadors to the business community. I sort of always lovingly joke that if a business opportunity ever called up and said to me, I want to relocate, they probably don't want to talk to Kara about that, because if she knew how to run a successful business, she probably wouldn't be working in government. So putting them in contact with that business community is really important, so the business community can do that selling or be that ambassador on our behalf, and that's what this macro approach envisions. Whenever we look at how we're going to do this, we look at the values that we want to create or the values that we want to develop in order to move things forward. And as a team, we take everything that we're doing, or every project or every program that we look at, and we filter them through these values. So do they inspire? Will they help us attract? And do they support our community? The long-term goals hopefully will look familiar to you because you helped us identify them. So we talked about earlier this year about the growth of the population base as being one of our long-term goals. We talked about, sorry, that turned really yellow, so didn't mean to be obnoxious with the yellow. It's supposed to be that lovely orange that's in the brand color. But the growth of the tax base, and how do we increase tax assessment for Bruce County? How do we diversify our economic base and start to promote entrepreneurial opportunities? And then how do we help businesses with retention and expansion? And those are the four sort of guiding long-term goals that we've developed this program around. As I mentioned, it's about the who. And so we've spent some time identifying the audiences or the people that we're going to speak to in order to position Bruce County as a place to live and a place to do business. You'll see I'm not going to read them to you, but you'll see the target audience under business development, and the target audience for the sector development right now is focused on tourism, but we have plans to expand that in relationship to our nuclear and our agricultural pursuits. So how are we going to get there? And this is the piece that I want to bring forward to you today, because hopefully what you've seen ahead of this is somewhat familiar. So again, we want to change the outcome of Bruce County's future. And I saw today a little quote that said, leaders have to aspire to unattainable goals. And so I don't know if they're unattainable, but they're lofty goals. And that's what this program is hoping to achieve. So where do we go from here? So as I mentioned, we reorganized the department into economic development, and we created two groups in that, one around business development and one around sector development. And this is the part where I'm just going to turn it over slightly to both Vicki and Manpreet. So I'll invite Manpreet to come up and talk about the areas of focus under business development as we move forward.
Thank you, Kara. Very good morning, everyone. As we know, potential entrepreneurs have new ideas and skills to in Bruce County for setting up a new business. So through our priority, we want to support business recruitment and business enhancement. We want to support existing and potential business owners and entrepreneurs. So we want to achieve this through three main objectives, which are business marketing and promotions, support outreach, and education. Number 1 is business foundations. This objective incorporates business growth and development, workforce development and skills education, entrepreneurial support through our Business to Bruce business team, and higher education opportunities. Business marketing and promotion objective focuses on marketing and promoting opportunities in Bruce County to attract potential investment opportunities to the area. We'll be doing this by attracting and promoting entrepreneurs. We'll be building as a location for new investment. We'll be looking for ways to enhance our trade opportunities. Last but not least is support outreach and education. This objective is to provide coaching to startup and existing businesses by in-person consultations and access to a local network of entrepreneurs. We'll be supporting entrepreneurial development. We'll be administering the business development programs through the province, and we'll be providing ongoing training and education opportunities to potential entrepreneurs. That's in the nutshell what we have under business development priority. Thank you.
Good morning. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So I'm speaking about the 3 sectors being tourism, nuclear and energy, and agriculture. So we've been doing a good job of marketing, promotion, and bringing tourists to Bruce County. So we're going to continue with tourism attraction and product development. So what does that mean? It means to increase the length of stay, increase the amount of spending in Bruce County, and in our office we like to say bring the dollar bills to Bruce County. So we're going to continue with marketing our program, so it's going to showcase the best of in Bruce County and highlighting the best experiences and the best attractions in Bruce County. And then we're going to continue with the Adventure Passport program as a visitor, friends, and marketing tool. And we're going to shift our marketing a little bit so that it's not only on attracting visitors to come to Bruce County to visit, but shifting our marketing program as Bruce County as a place to live. So positioning Bruce County as a place to live by bringing the message and broadening the Explore the Bruce message. We're also going to expand the Spruce the Bruce program, which is a community development and community design program to support communities, our local municipalities, and help them move forward with their action plans. And those are the action plans that were in each of the community toolkits. And lastly, in marketing and promotion, we're going to look at a regional approach and collaborate with our external partners in the regions around us, and also our internal partners and internal departments. So that means strengthening our communication with our local partners and learn from best practices and highlight business success stories, and collaborate with our internal departments to enhance the Bruce County brand. The second look at the agricultural enhancement. And so that means, well, in the past few years, we've been developing different programs and projects around agricultural enhancement. Through the Business to Bruce program that was completed last year, it highlighted that there is opportunities related to clusters around agri-food processing and value-added production. So we will research how to support local farmers with value-added initiatives, food processing, and developing a rural development program to help new farmers and entrepreneurs to start their agribusiness. The last is to provide nuclear and energy support. So you'll see there's two in the strategy. You'll see there's 2 plans. The first one is a short-term plan, and that will focus on the major component replacement at Bruce Power. And the plan will focus on the opportunities around supply chain and workforce development as it relates to the major component replacement. The last focus on the cluster development around skilled workers. So that means the engineers and technicians in Bruce County, because there's a large cluster of unique, educated, and skilled working entrepreneurs in Bruce County. So we will be developing a plan that will engage and mobilize this group in business development. And those are the 3 objectives in sector development.
So if that sounds just a little bit overwhelming, it kind of is, because there's a lot on the plate, a lot of things to do. And in that document, there is an appendix there where Vicki and Manpreet have laid out a bit more of the detail around all of that, if you're so inclined to look through it. And I'm very lucky to work with these two as they develop these programs, because they're both very passionate and have a lot of ideas on how to move these things forward. So when we talk about how to move things forward, we've given it a lot of thought as staff about what's Bruce County's pathway to move economic development forward. And what we're really talking about is shifting some of our existing successful programs to embrace this the broader nature of economic development that we're talking about, and adding in that fourth one around the nuclear investment strategy that Stelina is working on. You guys have sort of seen this, this diagram before back in the day, but it is really about how do we structurally move our communities, move our capacity forward so that we are putting our best foot forward when we get to sort of step number 5 around marketing and promotions. And really what you'll see us focusing on in the initial years is around that foundational piece. How do we put the preconditions in place so that as a county we are ready and able to move forward the opportunities that are in front of us. And then I always like to just be really cognizant of timeline. If we could do this easily and we could do it overnight, we'd all be doing it, right? So this is our 5-year strat plan, but it is going to take a number of years to move forward. And so what we will do or commit to committee to doing is bringing back yearly kind of how we're moving forward and how we're measuring our success. And we've given a lot of thought to how do we measure success. And I think, Kelly, you've probably asked this question of me more times than not as we've prepared this, so it's a good question. And, you know, when we talk about outputs, we talk about our key performance indicators, how many newsletters, how many trade shows, how many events, that sort of thing. And we'll report on that through the action plan that you see in this document. And then those outcomes that you saw at the broad level, the goals that you've asked us to move forward as a county, are those pieces that we've kind of captured in what's the infographic in the appendix in the back of the document. And those are those long-range, broad impacts, and those are things that we slowly move over time. Maybe we'll surprise everyone and we'll move them quickly, but I'll be on this cautious side right now. So those we anticipate updating for you, you know, as we get more information, as the census change. You've asked us to how population will change. So those are sort of longer, broader goals. What we're really excited about is the middle piece, and we really think that this idea of a report card, which you'll see in there, will actually help us measure the value and the impact that we're having year over year. And so what we hope to do is then work with our community partners on doing a bit of an annual report card on how this tactic or how these programs are impacting and changing the on-the-ground situation. And that's what we're excited to report to committee on yearly. So you'll see those 3 things come forward to you at varying times throughout the year, but we'll be really conscious to kind of draw back to this and let you know the difference that's being made with regards to the program. So I also thought I'd take a few minutes just to talk about what 2017 will look like if you were to go to an interview, which this doesn't really feel like, but maybe a little bit. They would ask you, what do you plan to do in the first week, the first month, the first year? So I thought, well, I'll just highlight for you a little bit about what we're thinking about doing and how we look to move this forward. There is, again, that detailed action plan in there if you want to get into the nuts and bolts of it. What we really see happening over the coming months is 4 things. 1 around reorganizing and coordinating, revamping and expanding the grants, developing a working group, and streamlining communications. And I'll just quickly touch on those. So reorganizing, you guys have seen this before, I'm sure, about the steps that we have for Spruce the Bruce. And Vicki sort of touched on this, that we're looking at how do we expand the good work that's gone on there with regards to the grants and that readiness piece and the capacity building piece in order to elicit change. So I don't have the answer to how it's going to change yet, but that's something that we are working on, and you'll see slight changes to the programming around that. And you'll see slight changes to how we structurally organize the program as well. On the revamp and the expanding of the grants, so you've seen we've been spruced, and we have 6 grants that we currently run. And what we're doing is looking at expanding the grants sort of on both ends of this. And the front end would be around business development, so adding some grants into the program that support business development. And on the other end of things would be around the marketing and promotion side of things, which we haven't gotten too heavily involved in. But if you remember that earlier side with the stop signs, once we have our product in place as a county and we're able to say, yes, this is a place to do business, then we need to be able to market it as such. So we're looking at expanding those grants. And what we're hoping to do, we're having an operator outreach next week where we bring this out to the public, and we framed it in the context of Bob, and I'm looking at you, Bob. It didn't have anything to do with your name, but we did call our new business owner to Bruce County Bob. Bruce would have been a bit too presumptuous. So what we're hoping to do is have a seamless interaction with business, where business comes into our Business to Bruce program, and they won't even really know that they've sort of entered that channel with the county. But they'll say, I have a really neat business idea that I want to move forward, and we'll have the supports in place to help them move that forward. We'll be able to frame that for them in the context of the work we've been doing with Spruce the Bruce and community development, and we'll be able to give them additional resources to help to fit into that brand or that narrative we're trying to put together at the community level. And then, as I said, we'll have expanded grants and supports around the Explore the Bruce and marketing of their business. So really the package that we'll be able to offer to the business community will be much more comprehensive and much more involved than what we sort of have at the present date. So developing of a working group, we've always sort of been hesitant to have another committee. I wonder why, but I think through all of this we've realized that we need to have some level of working group at the regional level where they can, I'll get to my next slide, so where we can foster better communication between our different partners and what we're trying to accomplish with this. So, and that's two-way communication. So things can be brought forward to the county, and then we can also move initiatives forward. That there's this broader sense of collaboration between all levels, and that we have an opportunity to provide educational or awareness opportunities about what's being done in the industry and what's going on. And then my hope is that there's a number of potentially regional projects that need to be tackled as well. And one of those ones that Manpreet is moving forward already is the sense that we need to have community profiles developed for each of the communities. And in absence of this group, we recognize that that's something that the county should take a leadership role on, and we're moving forward. So in the coming months, you'll see some of that information coming back to committee. So this idea that there's probably hopefully one or two regional projects every year that can move forward. And then finally, the idea of streamlining communications. What you'll see is next year, we're going to have a marketing plan and communication plan related to all of our programs around attraction and outreach. And this is very much in relation to the Bruce brand and how do we communicate as an organization about our activities and what we're doing. So we'll be working on that. We'll be coordinating that through our online assets around the web and social media. Without getting into too much detail, you will see some advancements with the Adventure Passport, as Vicki mentioned, that will start to streamline it and moving forward with a broader audience than just the visitor. And then you'll see us continuing to streamline our collateral pieces or our marketing pieces around the new Bruce brand. So that's a really high-level presentation. There's a lot of information in that report. And for those of you that know me, you know that I have a number of people in my house that participate in hockey. It's not my favorite thing. I spend a lot of time in arenas, but just because I'm a mom, not because it's my free time and I want to be there. But I do respect hockey, so I wouldn't be Canadian if I didn't. So I pulled out an old Wayne Gretzky quote, and it says, "I skate to where the puck is going to be, not to where it has been." And that's what we're really looking at with this economic development strategy. We've always tried to do things that put us ahead, put us to where that puck is, and that's what we're talking about with the economic strategy that's in front of you today. And I think through this plan that we will be able to skate to where that puck is. So thank you very much for your time, and I'm open to any questions about the plan.
Well, thank you very much, Kara and Vicki and Manpreet. This is an excellent document. There's certainly a lot of reading, but I've gone through it, and it just looks fantastic. It shows that the goals and objectives that are in here are so important to Bruce County and to rural Ontario. I mean, that we need economic development, and you've certainly strengthened the opportunities, and we appreciate all the work. Thank you. Are there any questions? Yes, Ann?
I agree. The book is excellent. And I was just wondering, are you going to provide copies? Like we have our local economic development committee. It would be great for them to look at this and just even the changes, that have occurred and the fact that it's up to date. I think it would be great for the local municipalities to have.
So through you, Mr. Chairman, yes, the intent is today, if this moves forward, that we would have it posted online today, so it will go out today. And then again, our intent is we'll present it at 2 public sessions next week. So we have one in Tobermory on the 8th, the operator outreach, and one in Walkerton on the 10th. I know that's not convenient for those in this room, you have other obligations, but the intent is to get it out to the public, and then my goal is then to start going out to each of the local municipalities and present it to your local council too over the coming months.
Thank you. Milt?
Thank you. Potential entrepreneurs, you mentioned that you were going to offer more to potential entrepreneurs in the way of providing information, I guess, beyond what we provide today. So can you elaborate on what that would be, or is that yet to be determined?
Sure. Again, through you, Mr. Chair, I can give an example. It might be, maybe don't hold me to this example because it's something that we're kind of working through, and this is this idea of Bob. So we thought if we give the example and a name, it helps us think about how they'll move through the process. And so right now, if someone comes to us and says, I'll use an example, if I may, in Kincardine, and they say, I'm looking at opening a bakery in Kincardine. We currently, because we've taken on the Business Enterprise Center, we do have access to provincial grants to help that interested party start up, so business planning and that sort of thing. What we're looking at as staff is, can we augment that and take some of the money that we currently have set for in Spruce the Bruce just for community development grants and do some granting there as well to help foster some of the goals that we have as our communities around that business development. So when we did, for example, in Kincardine, which was one of the pilots for Business to Bruce, we had 10 sort of recommended areas we wanted to focus on. So if the business opportunity that came forward was in one of those growth areas that we were looking at, we were looking at, can we realign some of that money to give them even more supports to develop that business there. And then once they were moving forward in that line, then we have access to those Spruce the Bruce grants that we're kind of used to seeing. So there'd be the facade improvement, signage improvement, and we're also looking at sort of some opportunities for grants for sort of behind the door grants through Spruce the Bruce. So that we'd be able to enhance that aspect of helping them get their business actually up and started and having that curb appeal working. So if you're in that bakery, as an example, you might say, well, have you thought about being a Scottish bakery, because this is the area that Kincardine is trying to foster and move forward, and we could do some of the branding with the business around that. So there'd be opportunities to help them do that and move forward. And then if they move to that level of being almost like a premier type business that fits into the brand of the community, then from the marketing perspective, they really fit in with what we're trying to promote at both the municipal and the county levels from an attraction and destination development piece. So we're looking at, again, developing grants on that end of things to help support the business owner as well. So as you can see, there kind of be a whole suite that's available to them. They might not know, like what we're hoping to do is sort of develop that seamlessly, so it's not, we don't want it to feel like red tape, like application after application after application, but they would sort of enter that funnel of support that we'd be able to help them walk through. And that's really been a huge asset of having the Enterprise Center come on board, because we get that direct initial contact with the businesses. So that's kind of what we're thinking right now, but it's not fully fleshed out.
So, but that's not money, say, to get the business off the ground. I mean, that's not, is that what you're talking about, or? That isn't providing money to the potential entrepreneur to start the business, is it?
Yes, it would be. So those grants already from the province is our business startup grants.
Oh, so that would be that provincial money?
Yeah, and then we're looking at how we can augment it, yeah.
Through the county?
Mm-hmm.
All right, thank you.
Okay, thank you, Kara. Any other? Yes, Mike?
Thanks, Mr. Chair. Just a comment, and first of all, I really like this document, and I want to congratulate you. I was talking to Ann before this and about the different things we've done over the years with economic development, and we've kind of went this way and that way, always good, some good things, some things. You never know when you're going to be successful. But what I really like about this is the three strategic directions that we've developed. They're measurable. They can tell us whether they're making some progress, and a plan overall. I know there's been a lot of work go into this it doesn't seem like, I guess 2 years has gone past fairly quickly, Kara. But I know Chris and your staff have gone through a lot of work structurally changing and some whole new ideas about how we approach economic development, and I just want to congratulate you because I think we've got a document here that we can all be proud of.
Mitch?
I too would like to echo Mike's comments, and I do have one question. Key sectors, I'm surprised with agriculture being at number 5. Just, no, I was
Yeah.
surprised to see that.
Yeah, and well, we know if you were to round those numbers together, right, the tourism and retail, so we kind of know that we have the 3 sectors around agriculture, tourism, and the nuclear industry or utilities industry as it's reflected here, but those are the 2016 numbers for it, so.
Okay. Are there any other questions? If not, I have a recommendation that the Planning and Development Committee receive the Find Yourself in Bruce County's Economic Development Strategic Plan report for consideration, and that the Planning and Development Committee adopt the Find Yourself in Bruce County document as Bruce County's Economic Development Strategic Plan. Could I have a mover and a seconder? Moved by Ann, seconded by Mitch. Is there any further discussion? All those in favor? Opposed? Motion is carried. Okay, I think that's it for this committee today. I need a motion to adjourn. Moved by Robert, seconded by Mike. All in favor? Carried.